Hello, hi everybody, how you doing? I hope everybody out there in YouTube land is having a great day. I know I am. I recently, well, this morning I picked up my cousin from the airport, so we're gonna be hanging out a little later. I know I promised you guys a video today, so the one I had sent earlier was actually one that I made a couple of days ago. Actually, I made it Sunday, and I just posted it today. So just to keep things going. I wanted to make another video that was more up to date or live or whatever. Well, of course, all of them are live, but I mean, I'm actually making it right now as we speak today. You know, and I hope y'all like my sweater jacket. It says, "It's a Met thing." You wouldn't understand. I wear that all the time. I got this off of Facebook. Anybody that has a Facebook page, if you see it, it'll have your name on it, so it's pretty cool. So keep a lookout for that. I like wearing this at work. Everybody they get a laugh out of it. When I present it, you'd be like, "Oh, it's a Met thing." I wouldn't understand, huh? I'm like, yeah, pretty much. And people don't understand a brother like me. You know what I'm saying? One of a kind. Anyway, but yeah, okay. As I've stated before, I want to make sure that I add some of my own personal experiences, ghostly experiences and UFO experiences, and I'm gonna do one for every video, but I'm gonna go back and forth with it. Ghostly experience and UFO experience. Just because like I said, I got a lot of stories to tell, so it'll keep all this going for a very long time. Okay, and these are true accounts. These are not okay. Now, truth be told, when you are looking at these TV shows on TV, about ghost hunters, and you see these dramatization shows about people who experience ghosts, but it's always a reenactment of it. They always want to pick the craziest stories where a person was living in a home that was built back in the Victorian days, and there was a bunch of demons making all this racket, and it's feeding off of their fear, and destroying the family, making people act crazy and stuff like that. I'm not saying that stuff don't happen, but that's not the case with me. It's just regular everyday haunts, that I've dealt with over the years, growing up as a child and into manhood. I've had, like I stated in one of my last videos, I've had that, moment where I was used as a vessel. I'm not going to call it possession because that's a little too far-fetched. I would like to at least say that I was used as a vessel by a spirit who wanted to see a sunset, and I was. I knew I could feel myself, who I was, but I could also feel her inside of me too. It was like having two different personalities in one body. It was weird, but it was, the experience was eye-opening, to say the least. But anyway, on to my story and one of my experiences. This experience is dated back to around the time when my grandfather passed away. This was back in 2005. I was living in my mother's old house in Duluth, Georgia. Okay, when he passed away, it was a pretty big blow to me. I found out while I was at work that they took him off the respirator, and I cried 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 for hours. And even though I was upset, it got me out doing some work. Not saying that, I was proud of that, but I was upset and I couldn't work being that upset because I couldn't stop crying, because that man's been in my life ever since the day I was born. There were times where I didn't actually like him, but there were times when I did, but even when someone in your family dies, regardless of your feelings for that person, they're still family, and you still will miss them, and they still will make you cry. And I cried. It's like pent up emotions that I have for him, because he wasn't like one of my favorite people growing up, but at the same time he was still my grandfather, and I did love him. So but yeah. Now on to this part. After the funeral and we get back home to Georgia, it was probably the day after. I was at work and I came home, and it started off as a normal night. I won't say night, it was early in the morning. It was like I got off at 12:30 a.m. in the morning. So by the time I got home, it was probably like 1:45 at least, because it'll take about maybe 15 minutes to get from my job to my mother's house. And I'm walking into the garage. Well, driving into the garage, and I closed the door. And I kid you not, this is not a lie. I literally heard a very loud fart directly in the center of the garage. Now, keep in mind, my car is closer towards the door leading inside. So my car was on the left, my mom's car was on the right. Okay, so there was nobody else in that garage but me, number one. And I was the one that farted, just so that you know. But I did know that my grandfather was a trickster, and he liked to play games, and he liked to prank you and all that stuff, do a lot of jokey stuff, and farting was one of them. There was one time he used to be in his chair acting like he sleep, right, and all of a sudden he let one loose, and then when you look up and we start giggling, he up there grinning with his eyes closed. So he was a funny dude, man, for real. He used to crack me up a lot. But yeah, so I knew right away it was him. I don't know why I did, but I just knew that was my grandfather. And it got even more stranger. Okay, so I'm going to the door, and at this time I kind of knew it was him, but at the same time I didn't. I just knew I heard that noise because there have been other haunts in my house other than my grandfather. So I go to the door, and my mom normally be downstairs washing clothes, and when she hear me come through the garage, she'll unlock the door. That way I won't have to worry about using my key. So I put my hand on the doorknob, and I put the key in, and I turn the doorknob as I'm unlocking it. All of a sudden, before I can really get a good grip on it, the doorknob turned real fast in my hand. Like, it was just like, say you putting your hand on the doorknob and you just touching it, but the doorknob still turns without you having to use any wrist action. So I was like, whoa. So that made me think that my mother was on the other side, getting ready to open up the door, but she probably knew I was coming, and she said, well, he's getting ready to put his key on the door, so she let the doorknob go. So I'm guessing she was gonna open it up for me, so I would, just to be polite or whatever. So I was like, whoa, okay. I guess maybe she thought she could just open up the door for me, but she felt me put the key in or something like that. So I was like, I backed up a little bit real quick, and then I turned the doorknob, and it was pitch black downstairs when I got inside. I was like, okay, that's weird. And I know she couldn't have finished, washing the clothes that fast, because normally she'd be in the middle of washing clothes when I get home. And I was like, okay, that makes no sense. Yeah, okay. So I closed the door. I walk upstairs, and I realized that my mom is in a dead sleep. She's been asleep for hours. So I was like, okay. Yeah, that was definitely weird. All right, so a lot of things happened in that house even before my grandfather passed away, so it was just common nature for me. I didn't really get too weirded out about that, because like I said, I've been dealing with ghosts ever since I was a kid, so I wasn't fazed by it. I still had the moments where I was startled, and it kind of made me a little nervous, but it really didn't bother me, to a certain point. But anyway, so regular night, I see that she sleep, and that still kind of weirded me out a little bit, because obviously she didn't just run downstairs to do that and then run back upstairs and jump in the bed and act like she sleep, because it was only within a couple of seconds. Okay, so excuse me. I just I shrugged it off, and I got out of my clothes and got in my night clothes and got into bed. Okay, it's morning time, and in between all that, I'm having a dream. And I saw my grandfather in my dream. He was standing at the foot of my bed in a jacket with 3 white stripes going down the sleeve. Because it's a jacket that my mom used to wear all the time. So she got that from my grandfather after he passed. He was wearing that exact same jacket, and he had the hood over his head, and I could see his whole face and his beard and his mustache. And he was just standing there looking at me. And he had his hands in his pocket, and in both pockets, and he was just standing there staring at me, and I think he was smiling. And right after seeing him standing at the foot of my bed, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm getting the feeling of someone tickling me in my ribs, and it was so like oh man, it was one of the, I could literally feel the finger, the pressing of the fingers into my rib cage, and he was literally tickling me, and I was like, I'm just laughing, I'm giggling, I'm all over the place. I'm just, like when you get that extreme tickle from somebody and you can't help it, you just be all over the place. You be laughing and all this stuff and just carrying on, and your arms are flailing all over the place, and it was just that intense. So I was like, whoa, and I woke up and I was like, Mom, and she was like, what? Papa was just he was just tickling me. She was like, what? He was just here. He was tickling me on my ribs. I could feel the pressing of his fingers, the tip of his fingers in my ribs. That is just how definite it was. It was amazing. It didn't freak me out. It was just, I was stunned. And it amazed me that I had that type of experience because I'd never been touched by a ghost before. And my grandfather took his fingers like this, and he was just going all like that, digging his fingers into my ribs, tickling me, and I could still feel the pressure from his fingertips in my ribs, like as if he was just pressing them into, trying to crush it into my rib or whatever. Not like that, but I could still, like I said, I could feel the pressure of his fingertips still in my ribs, so I knew it was him. And I was like, wow. He basically made himself known to me in that way. I don't know if he did that with my mother, but he did that to me, and so it was pretty an amazing thing to actually happen. Hold on one second, guys. I gotta turn this TV down. Okay, sorry about that. All right, okay. But yeah, so yeah, that was a very amazing thing to have happen to me. I was just amazed. I couldn't help it. It was just like, wow. I've never had a level of haunting in that. I never had a haunting on that level before. I would hear stuff, see stuff. I could be driving down the street and see a shadow person running across the street as I'm driving up on it. Now this is something else that happened in my house. Where me and my nana, and that's a whole different story with her too. Before she passed away, this was years ago. She was staying with us at the time for like maybe half the winter, because she was there for Christmas and Thanksgiving. But anyway, we all standing at the top of the steps leading down to the doorway leading outside. And I see something out of the corner of my eye, and I see a shadow person walking up the steps. And as soon as I looked at it, I jumped. I was like, whoa. She was like, what? I just saw somebody walking up the steps. Because as soon as they saw me, whatever that shadow person saw me, it disappeared. Because I read somewhere and heard people talking about it on Coast to Coast Inn, where they said they do not like to be seen. They like to stay in the dark where they can be hid. But every once in a while, if there's light in the area where you at, you can see a shadow person walking across. And I saw a full-blown figure of a person walking up the steps, but I could see right through it. It was like a shadow moving along the walls. It was weird. And so that was my experience in that area, in my mom's old house, about my grandfather and the shadow person. And once again, I still have more coming, so stay tuned on my next video for more personal experiences. And once again, this is an update from my previous videos from when I first started this channel. But like I said, I compiled everything into a compilation of all my experiences into one, maybe two, probably like 4 videos at the most, along with my UFO experiences. So I'm doing an update of everything that's happened to me since then, up until now. I even got a Super Bowl experience that I want to share with you guys, but I don't know when I'm going to get that in. I may do that on my next video. I don't know. But anyway, on to the matter at hand. A sobering coincidence. Anyway, okay. Ooh, got it upside down. Oh man, I'm crazy. Okay. I'm gonna turn the light on here because it's really dark in this area. Okay. There we go. All right. Much better. I hope that didn't ruin the picture earlier. So, but I gotta be able to see when I'm reading this here. All right, guys. Today's story is about a young man named Dwight Clark. Okay. He went missing on 09/26/2010 at 2 a.m. in Bellingham, Washington. He was 18 years old when he disappeared. Now, Dwight was raised in a small city of Auburn, Washington. just northeast of Tacoma. He was a very good student and an excellent communicator. He liked to keep close ties to family and friends. He was known to send up to 6,000 text messages a month and talked to his family multiple times a day. Kind of sounds like me because I talk to my mom every single day, no matter what it is. It may be something small, maybe just a random conversation, but I communicate with my mom all the time. And I call my aunt, I text her, I call my uncle, I call my cousins. I talk to my friends all the time, so I'm that kind of person as well. So I understand exactly where he's coming from. Okay, the young man had become an excellent skateboarder and had made videos of his skills and had just launched a clothing line. Cool. Let's see. He was majoring in engineering, had hoped to pursue his business interests. He had the brains, communication skills, and energy to be very successful. On September 25th, 2010, Dwight had been at school just 2 weeks when a friend invited him to his apartment for a party. The event was in the 1000 block of Indian Street, and it lasted till late into the night. Dwight walked from his room at Nash Dormitory to the apartment at 2 a.m. on September 26th. Dwight told friends that he was walking back to his room on campus, a short 6-block walk. This walk would have been a fairly level stroll straight into the university on Indian Street. A downhill direction would have led into downtown Bellingham and toward the Bellingham Bay. Dwight never made it back to his dormitory, and he was reported as missing. Hundreds of volunteers, law enforcement, and relatives searched for the Auburn native. There were conflicting reports that canines couldn't find a scent, and another report that one canine followed a scent to Bellingham Bay and the area of Georgia Pacific. That area was intensively searched, and it was reported that nothing was found on the beach or in the bay. An October 7th, 2010 article on ABC News had a statement from Mark Young, the Bellingham police spokesperson. Clark's case was classified as a highly suspicious missing person case. According to Young, who had admitted that he was baffled by the disappearance, police did conduct a search of Dwight's cell phone traffic and found a phantom text at 2:44 a.m. It was a blank message with no content. What is interesting about that message is that many missing people have one last phone or text message that is sent near the time they disappear. Some of these go to 911. Yeah, excuse me, guys. You got it. If you can tell, I'm kind of under the weather a little bit. Just kind of stopped up nose just a little bit, and I'm gonna be clearing my throat a lot because I've been drinking a lot of green tea to kind of alleviate me from this problem, and it's working. I was a lot worse off the other day, but I'm trying to get through this without having to feel like I'm extremely sick, which I'm not, honestly, but still. Okay, so like I say, if you hear me sniffle, that's why. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, many times this is indicative. This is indicative of the phone hitting the ground hard and activating the response. This was not the case with Dwight's phone, as you will learn later. On September 27th, Bellingham police detectives got the case and started to work with it. On September 29th, 35 volunteers searched the Bellingham community for Dwight. On September 30th, 50 volunteers searched Cornwall Park and Little Squalicum Beach and found nothing. On October 1st, 60 volunteers searched the neighborhoods surrounding the western campus of Dwight or his clothing. For Dwight or his clothing. They found nothing. On October 2nd, 120 searchers covered Fairhaven Park and surrounding streets. At this point, there was a reward of $16,000 for information leading to Dwight's location. On October 6th, 2010, Dwight's body was found in a lumber pound operated by Georgia Pacific in Bellingham Bay. This was in the same general area where a canine supposedly tracked a scent trail. Okay, see, that's kind of funny. You track a scent trail to the area where he could be, and they get there and there's nothing there. So it's like the trail stopped and the body seemingly vanished from that point, but yet it ends up back in the same place days later. Weird. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, the student's cell phone. Is that right? Hold on, let me make sure. I'm always doing this. Sorry, guys. Oh yeah. Okay. The student's cell phone, student identification card, and driver's license was found on the body. The Whatcom County Coroner's Office did the autopsy and found a blood alcohol level of 0.13%. This would not be enough to kill anyone and probably would not have caused extreme disorientation. There was a very small amount of THC, which is marijuana, found in his system. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just trying to keep myself from, feeling weird. Okay, Dr. Gary Goldfogel, or Fogel, whichever, these people with weird names, but anyway, stated he also claimed that death was caused by drowning and was accidental. There was no trauma to the body. Nobody could say where Dwight entered the water or why. The route that Dwight would have had to take to Bellingham Bay could not have been misinterpreted as the route to his dormitory. The walk to the water would have been downhill, and he probably could have seen the bay during the walk. Officials almost want us to believe that alcohol causes these young men to march like zombies into the water and continue to march into the death zone, allowing the water to go over their head, become sucked into their lungs, and die. Only one person wakes up from this zone and swims to safety. Everyone else succumbs to their drowsiness and dies. Drowsiness and dies. This idea that anyone could get into the bay near the Georgia Pacific property is a pretty good stretch of the imagination. The property is covered by 2 separate fences to ensure that nobody can get into the water from the surrounding roads or walkways. Keep your common sense hat on at this point and don't wander. These young men are not idiots. They understand that water was on the other side of the fence. Anyone climbing on the side of the fence, and their safety was just up the hill at their dormitory. Why would anyone climb 2 different fences and enter 50-degree water? The area surrounding Bellingham does have several missing people that I've written about in the past. Vancouver Island has a cluster of missing people, as does the Cascade Range in Washington and the Olympic Peninsula. The University of British Columbia at Vancouver has 2 unusual disappearances, and British Columbia has many highly unusual cases of people vanishing. All of these cases have one major thing in common. They are relatively close to water and the ocean. The cases in the Cascades are generally within a 50-mile radius of the water. The Grandstrom and Clark disappearances are the most similar to two cases of a small cluster that I've ever documented. Common sense would indicate that something very, very unusual happened to these two young men. And he is exactly correct on that assumption, because if you are going to a party to be with friends, okay, that's cool. But when you tell them that you're either going to walk back to your dorm or whatever the case may be, you leave the party. And somewhere between point A and point B, you disappear. You never make it to your dorm. Like, say, if they call the next day to see what he's up to, and they said, well, he never came home. So that's when everybody goes into action. He gets reported as a missing person. They look for him. They can't find him. The dog even leads you to an area where the scent led to, but he's not there. So he either went there and said, okay, well, I'm going to go back. But he disappears from that point. There's no more indication from the dog to state where he's going. It's not like he walks in there and he decides to turn around and go in a different direction. They didn't say that. They just said that the scent just led to that area and it just stopped. And then days later, they go back to that same spot and bam, there he is in the water, dead. You know, no cause of death, no trauma, no nothing. Okay, they even tried to find his clothes. They said that his wallet and his identification was on him, so that means he was partially clothed. They just didn't say what clothing he was wearing. Obviously, he was wearing his pants, but they did say that he didn't have a shirt on or he didn't have any shoes on. They just said that his identification was found on him and his driver's, like his driver's license and stuff like that. But anyway, so yeah, with these cases, it's very weird. You have a commonality of people who just seemingly vanish. You know, you got people who disappear near bodies of water. Okay, they're either college-age men between the ages of 18 and 20-something who seem to always come from a bar or a party where there's a lot of alcohol, but they have a certain percentage of alcohol in their system, and so instantly you start thinking, okay, well, maybe he was drowsy or he was dizzy or he was disoriented and he fell into the water. That is never the case because they didn't have that much alcohol in the system. So for them to say that, it's just a cover-up so that they won't look stupid to everyone, knowing that they're the ones that's supposed to be solving his case. Okay, getting an abundance amount of messages here. Oh, seriously? Anyway, but yeah. Sorry about that, guys, but yeah, I'm just getting an abundance amount of YouTube messages. But anyway, like I said, there's so many levels to all of this. I even had a nice conversation with some of my viewers this morning about some of the cases that I read about from the one that I posted earlier and one from a previous post that I made. And we made some very astute accusations towards that. One of the messages I got from Kimstar66, we had a nice long conversation about some of the cases and the theories that we came up with that was matching a lot of things that dealing with these people. My take on most of that stuff is like, okay, we really need to understand why these things are even happening. You know, a lot of times when we try to figure stuff out, I was saying before that these cases, they're using stuff that we may have seen in TV, like just regular ordinary situation that we find in our own lives and stuff that we see on TV that match up with a lot of these cases. So I'm gonna go back to one that I read with Kimstar66 and my take on the situation. Let me see. Let me go back to that real quick, and I'll go into that. Okay. The first thing that I said was, give me 1 second here. Oh yeah, I came up with an analogy about the people who look like someone stole their soul or someone stole their energy, because you got a lot of people that are found dead in the water with no cause of death. So what other way can a person actually be taken or killed without them being killed by a weapon? And that was my assumption on that. In a lot of these cases, you got situations where you can actually come up with a theory that's attached to an analogy dealing with the cases, and it kind of seems like they stole the idea from that and they used that to kill somebody, like the stealing of the soul from that person or the energy. Now, on a cartoon, on the Uncanny X-Men that I used to watch back in the 90s, there was an episode or a saga called Out of the Past, and it was about this soul drinking creature, and it looked like pure energy. You couldn't see, it wasn't solid, it was just light energy in the form of some sort of creature with one eye, and it had the ability to shoot out these tentacles from its mouth and steal your soul and drink it for food. And it was just kind of weird how these people seem to turn up dead all the time, and there's no rhyme or reason why they should be dead. There's no cause of death. So I'm thinking that there's some sort of creature out there that can do the same exact thing, And I did have a video of that on YouTube, and I want to see if I can show that, but I can show you a photo of it too. But what I said was, well, she was saying how oh, that's a good one. So creepy though. Thinking Predator movies, and like you, it just puzzles me why they take certain people and then drop them and drop some of them back. Where is the logic in any of these situations? It's baffling and frustrating. I even found myself reading about how some people think Bigfoot and it is an alien from space, and that eyewitness accounts say they seen them going in and out of UFOs. I can't dismiss their theory because I'm so open-minded. It just doesn't matter which way we look. Everything is so out there. It could be many things, and she's exactly right. And see, what I said was actually it is everything, but it's done. They use everything. Okay, I said actually it's everything, but all of this stuff is done on purpose. That's their way of confusing us, because they know that that even if the weird evidence they leave behind causes thinking logically to go right out the window, they also know that even if we figure out what this is, we still won't believe it. And that's very true, because people have their beliefs and they have their religious beliefs. So if I got a friend that I talked to about UFOs and aliens and some of the stuff that I heard, and she flat out didn't even believe it. Sorry about that, guys. I don't mean to do this in front of the camera, but it's just Anyway, I talked to her about that kind of thing, and it was like okay, now I feel weird about doing that in front of the camera. I'm sorry, guys. It's just that I'm under the weather, so I was trying not to do this, but hope that didn't weird you guys out. But anyway, she flat out didn't believe that, because she has a firm belief in God, and so do I. But I also believe that there's a lot more going on here than we can believe, because we are taught to believe what we already know as reality. So that type of reality is something that we're not even affiliated with, because it's looked at as fairy tales, folklore, or not real. That's just the way everything works with us. But when we see stuff like this, we be like, okay, that's got to be the government, or that's got to be a hallucination, or it's not real, this and that, the other, or they just won't admit to it, or they won't even talk about it, because it just throws them off kilter when it comes to believing in what is real and what's fake, or what's not real. And it's all due to their faith. So, but yeah, it's weird. But I also said that I even have a theory about or analogy about the victims that are being taken, and that's when I went to that video about the spirit drinker, and I wanted to show you that so you can get a good idea of what I'm talking about. And it's a video that shows what actually happened when somebody is actually taken by this thing. Okay.
Previously on X-Men.
Okay.
Look, Lee has it. No one steals from the death strike and lives. No! Spacecraft. Perhaps what we need is a human with a set of adamantium claws. Leech got message for Wolverine. Messages from Yuriko.
Yuriko is here.
Attack.
Watch out! Where is Yuriko?
Oh, don't you recognize
okay.
me?
Yuriko.
I'm gonna advance it a little bit. That's too much. I want to get to the part where that actually happened.
A living weapon of revenge.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Sounds like E.T. wants to return the favor. What is it? Whatever it is, I think it's time somebody shut it up.
Get back!
You heard the kid, I think.
And this is the part where it's gonna look familiar to what might be happening to these people. See the tentacles? And see what happens to the people?
We must destroy it. Let me go. Whatever it has got must be astounding.
Your shopping will have to wait. Let's book.
But the others.
Nothing you can do for them now, Betty. You run, huh? I'll be right behind. You don't want my friend dead. Play with Gamble instead.
Damn it, don't!
Okay. Now, if you saw that creature, I'm not saying that that's what that creature may look like, because whatever is doing this, it's invisible. It's able to cloak itself so that we can't see it. Okay, so, and then it just drops you off dead without a reason for you to even be dead in the first place, right? So, with that being said, it's like I said before, it's got to be some sort of creature or predator that we know nothing about, that is from some other dimension or another reality or another parallel earth, where it can steal your soul or your energy and leave you marked for dead with no cause of death on the body. So it may use some type of ability where it doesn't have to touch you, in a way to show that it actually did touch you. And it could be some tentacles, like what you saw in that cartoon, where it shoots it out from his body or from his mouth or whatever, and when it touches you, it drains your soul right out of your body, and it goes right into the creature. So that's my take on that, and how people are found dead all the time with no cause of death on the body. So that's just one analogy that I came up with about that. But like I said, it's very true about people who will not believe what is really going on here because of their faith or what they just believe in. You know, if you come at a person like that and say, okay, that's the reason why this is happening, but it's the reason is so out there, it's so beyond the ability to think logically, they be like, that's impossible, that can't happen. But it does. It's right there in front of your face. The evidence shows you that something weird is going on, and criminals who kill people don't do weird stuff. They kill you, they may chop you up and toss your pieces all over the country, but there's a lot of things that they do that they can still figure out and explain, and they end up going to jail for it. This doesn't happen in this situation. This has been going on for like hundreds of years, thousands of years even, and no one has ever been caught doing it. Whatever they're doing it without being seen. They're doing it in a way where it won't leave any evidence, and what evidence they do leave behind only gives you the opportunity to figure out what happened. But then when you figure it out, you're like, that's impossible. You know, like a person being found dead in a weird way with no cause of death on the body. They can't figure out how a person could die and not have a cause of death. What we're used to seeing are bullet holes in the body, strangulation marks on the neck, or knife wounds in the body. That is an indication on how people are being found dead. Okay? So how is it that we can't seem to figure out anything else other than that? It's baffling. So we need to get away from the way of thinking logically and start thinking in a way that will put us on a level where we can say, okay, this is definitely what this is. But we have to be able to believe it in order to say what we say. You know, if you get my drift. You know, so all of it is just so out there. And I would love to be able to be the one to say, yeah, that's exactly what's going on here. But people have to believe it, you know? So that's the reason why I have this channel. I have this channel for people with open minds like yours. And when you come here, you can open up, you can feel comfortable about what you're thinking, and you can comment on every video that's on here. You know, just become part of part of our world. The people who can say the stuff that everybody else don't want to say, you know. So it is what it is, you know. It's just all just very strange, you know. And see, another thing that was said, let me see, make sure I got all this. Oh yeah, one of my other viewers was saying that perhaps whatever is taking these people and doing this are from space or very high in the atmosphere. And I can believe that too, because they're being taken away in a manner where there's no evidence being found as far as footprints. The scent just goes away after they're trying to look for them. So obviously they're being elevated, or they're being taken in a way where they just disappear altogether right in that same spot. Now, if they're being lifted off the ground, it is some sort of alien technology. Okay, so I'm thinking they're being abducted and being operated on, and then whatever they're doing is killing these people, and they just drop them back to Earth. Maybe, if that's the case. And it could be a scenario that is being taken from alien abduction and used in these killings by these beings. And I'm thinking they're compiling all these different ways to kill people from stuff that is being done by other means. Like, okay, you got abductions. They're using abduction scenarios to kill people. Okay, but in a way that is even more advanced than them. Okay, they're using the idea of portals to take people by them disappearing. Like this one man I heard about that David Paulides talked about. He was actually rock climbing with some friends, and he was on the very bottom. Okay, he had two friends ahead of him that was up on top, and they were, you know, like if you rock climbing, you all of you are attached to a cable, and the two friends of his that was climbing ahead of him had him dangling on this cable, and they said that all of a sudden the line just went limp. Now think about this: they're like a couple of thousand feet up, you know, on the side of a mountain, but the line went limp. Also think about this. Now, if the line went limp and he detached himself from it, don't you think you would hear him scream all the way down to the bottom of this mountain to his death? They didn't hear that. They just said that the line went limp. They looked back and he was gone. It's not like he swayed himself to the point where he was able to get onto the side of this wall so that he'll have something to climb on. That didn't happen, because they would have felt that too. They didn't say that in their interview. They just said the line went limp, and when he looked back, he was gone. So whatever took him was able to take him was able to do it in midair as well. And they just made him disappear from that point, and he was never seen again. They never found him. You know, so like I said, whatever's doing this can turn fantasy into reality. That's one thing I also said or thought about. That was one of my theories. Whatever is doing this, whatever kind of being this is, has the ability to turn fantasy in reality. Everything that we think of that we could possibly do in our minds. Like if we imagine ourselves as being these like a person with superpowers, they can use this ability to make that a reality. Now, if a person, you saw the movie, if you saw the movie Lucy, she was able to use 100% of her brain's capacity, where she could do all kinds of stuff like transform her entire body, make her hair grow, morph into a different type of being. She could talk to computers. She can look at the grid of signal coming down from a satellite. She could move it to the side and listen to someone talking on the phone. She could do all kinds of. She could even use mental telepathy to make to build a wall around somebody and crush them to death. Okay, she could do all kinds of things. Now, also, if that person knows about these like fantasies that people think of, and how we can, like, okay, whoever figured out, as a matter of fact, Einstein was the one that said that if we were able to use 100% of our brain's capacity, we wouldn't need our bodies. So this is one of my original theories. It is some sort of creature or being that reached that level to where they didn't need their body. The only thing that's left is the essence of the ability of their brain. And that's kind of hard to explain because it goes way beyond being out there. If you have a person that can use 100% of their brain's capacity, but they don't need their body, then that means it'll be just nothing but a floating brain in space, or in the space around you, or in the air. But let's just say it went even beyond that, to where the only thing left behind after the brain is the ability to is the ability that the brain has, that is so strong and so powerful that it didn't even need the brain to do what it does. That was one of my theories. I mean, I know that sounds very, very, very stranger than what I normally say, but if a person had the ability to use their 100% of their brain's power to the point where they didn't need their bodies, what if they went beyond that and didn't need their own brain to do what they do? The only thing that could be left behind is the essence of the ability that the brain has. So the power is so intense, you can operate what your brain can do. You can do what your brain is able to do without the brain itself. I don't know. It's just, I mean, 'cause think about it. Nobody is being seen when they're doing this. Whatever this creature is not being seen. It can either cloak itself, or it's able to do what its brain could do without the brain itself. The physical manifestation of the brain is what I'm saying. It probably is able to operate without the brain even being present. So I don't know. That's just my theory on that. I know it sounds even weird. It even sounds weird to me, but it just came to me at one point where maybe it's able to do that. But somebody or something is able to use 100% of their brain's power in order for them to do these things, like phase Elisa Lamb through a thick metal container filled with water. Okay? How was she able to get in there in the first place? They couldn't even get her out of there. They had to cut a bigger hole open just so they can remove the body, right? So somehow she got in there. She was phased through the metal by some means. Now, if I was able to show you that video of Chris Angel walking through a metal door, and he can actually show you that his leg is protruding out of the door through the metal, that gives you a good idea of what this thing is capable of. It even took ideas from that episode and is able to phase her through the metal. Okay, think about it. That's another analogy. It can do what Chris Angel was able to do. If he can do it on TV, I know that person can do it. So it is just weird. So if I can find a video of that, that'd be cool too. Because he's got tons of mind freak videos on here. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it real quick. They got walks through metal door. Here we go. This is gonna be crazy. I want to see if I can find that one. Yeah, here it is. It's a 3 minute and 37 second video. It would have an ad on here.
Contentment. Knowing 25 cents of every Shamrock Chocolate Madness drink purchased this week goes to Ronald McDonald House Charities.
Here we go.
Plate glass. Yep. Now, a lot of people would say glass is a solid. Some say it's a liquid. It's solid. It is solid, and a solid cannot pass through a solid. Without breaking it. Right. Okay. Unless it was really liquid. Hey, Leaf, get a look at this, man. Go ahead. Hit your camera in it. Let people see. I'm going to borrow you for a second. Can I put your keys down? All right. And then, actually, come over here a second. Grab. I saw some paper. Perfect. All right. So look, I want you to see just a piece of paper. I'll show you what I'm going to ask you to do is let me see. I want you to hold the paper just like I'm holding it. Hold it really tight, all right? So you're going to do the same thing, all right? You're going to hold it really tight, and I want you to see that it's completely solid here. All right? Still solid? Everything? All right. I want you to get a good grip on that. I'm going to grab some milk plates over here. Everybody can see that there's glass on all the sides. All right. Now, one continuous shot. Don't cut, Leaf, all right? I'm going to go inside. Is it all right if I close this door? All right. Can I come in? Yeah, come in. Actually, you know what I want to do real quick? First, I'm going to take off my shoes. Is it all right if I close this? Yeah, go ahead. All right, cool. You got your key in here? You can hold on to that. One continuous shot. Watch. For a second. Come here. Put your hand right over here, right on the paper, gently. Put your hand on the paper. Put your hand, take your finger. Look, spread your hand a little bit. Keep it just like that. Don't do anything. Watch. All right, now move your hand away. Move your hand away. Move away. Watch. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I was feeling. I was freaking out when I saw that.
I felt his hand. That was no trick. The man walked through my window. Get a better security system. That's gonna drive me crazy. It's insane.
Yeah. So, like I said, that right there, that's tripped me out about him. How he was able to do something like that. You know. And there have been a lot of people that said that was probably, CGI. This was live, man. Live at someone's, establishment, at his business. And he literally watched him from the other side walk through a thin plate of glass. Like as if it turned into like a liquid or a gel or something. And he's done that quite a few times. There was one where he literally walked through a metal door. They took this towel or sheet that was covering the area where he was walking through, and you can see his leg protruding through the metal. So let's go back to Elisa Lam. Think about it. If Chris Andrew can do that, that right there lets you know that is a possibility. it just goes beyond your realm of thinking when it comes to thinking logically, right? If you believe that, now people always say, okay, it's just an illusion, magic isn't real, da da da. Look, let me tell you something. I've seen on there was a episode. I used to watch a lot of David Copperfield too, and he did this one illusion where he was making this woman disappear. It was like a painting or a drawing. He would erase part of it, and part of her body would disappear. They had the camera on a certain part of her body, and you literally saw her a body part on her, and I think she was wearing like a pink tight outfit. You literally saw like a part of her arm fade away, and I don't think they meant to do that. They didn't mean to show that part, but they showed it, and I was like, wow. I literally saw her arm or her leg just fade away in that one spot. So, like I said, let's go back to Lisa Lam again. She ends up in that tank some kind of way with her clothes swimming around, like just floating around her. How did she get in the tank? Can you think of one logical reason how she could have gotten in the tank? Now, they said that hole was too small for her whole body to fit through. Maybe a leg at the most, but that'd be it. But her entire body was able to fit through that thing? No way. That didn't happen. Somehow she was phased through it in some means. Not by her own accord, of course. Something was able to phase her through it. They could touch other people, phase them through solid metal, and leave them there marked for dead. Now, they could also take, let's just say they phase that person through, right? There's a good chance that when they take the hand away from the body, the metal, her body wouldn't be transparent anymore, and next thing you know, the metal just slices their body in half. That's one way of putting it, if that was to actually happen. But they phased her entire body through and left her there in that tank dead. So that's something I can think of, and watching that video can give you a good idea of how that's even done. Okay, so like I said, I'm thinking that these beings are taking stuff that we see on TV and other scenarios, like from cartoons, from movies, from TV shows, stuff that sounds unbelievable, and they use those scenarios to kill these people. And when they compile all that stuff together in all these killings, they already know that we think that it's fake or it's CGI or whatever the case may be. But when the evidence tells you what happens, you start thinking in that direction, and you be like, but that's impossible. It couldn't have happened that way. But it did. The evidence is telling you that. You know, if a person can be found dead without a cause of death, it puts you in that area of thinking. You say, well, what could have done that without them being touched? You start thinking of all these different reasons. And the first thing I thought of was, you know, the spirit drinker that I showed you earlier, or they are able to phase their hand through the skull and remove the brain that way, causing no markings to appear on the skull, like as if someone's trying to cut it open and remove the brain. You didn't see that, but yet I'm not saying that they haven't checked the brain to see if it was still in the body, because they do that all the time. But if they didn't find it, you think they would tell you that? Seriously, think about this. If the brain was missing from the body and there was no opening anywhere on the skull, obviously they're not going to tell you that part, because they're going to be like, how is the brain missing but there's no incision mark or opening anywhere on the skull, like what happened with John F. Kennedy. They said that when he was shot, he was shot in the back of the head, and when they did the autopsy on his body, his brain was missing. I bet you didn't remember that, did you? I'm pretty sure the people that was there when it happened remember that. But they did say in an interview on a documentary that when he was found dead, or pronounced dead, when he was at the coroner's office, they checked his body, and they said there was a hole in the back of his head from the bullet wound, I guess. They used a rifle and blasted a hole in the back of his head, and his brain was missing. Now, I'm not saying that the force of the blast disintegrated his brain. I think that would be impossible. There would still be some brain matter left. But they said there was no brain whatsoever. Maybe they wanted to, there was some sort of satanic ritual kind of thing. They wanted to take his brain for a souvenir or whatever the case may be, or put it on display somewhere. I don't know. Because they did that with Einstein's brain. They removed his brain and got it on display, thinking they could probably find out how was it that he was so smart. You know, they said that his brain was actually a lot larger than most people's brains. You know, they said that could be the reason why he was able to obtain so much knowledge or whatever. I don't know. But still, like I said, I hope that gives you a good idea of what is really happening here. Even though it may seem like it's coming from a TV show about a magician or an illusionist, if you think about that and think about how Elisa Lam was found in that tank, what other reason could there be? You know, and I go back to that cartoon I told you about, Danny Phantom. He uses intangibility to pass through solid objects, and he could touch other people who don't have the ghost power, and he could pass them through solid objects as long as he's touching them. So I'm thinking they did the same thing with that. That's why I said that they're using all of these different scenarios that you can find in cartoons, TV shows, documentaries, you know, to commit these crimes. But when they do that, they don't leave any cause of death so that you will figure out who did it or what did it. The only thing they leave behind is evidence of the killing. But the evidence is so out there, you'd be like, that's impossible. Why would that person be there dead, but there's no cause of death? Why would you take the clothes, fold it up, put it on a log, and only have one shoe? How is it that a shoe that came off of a person is in one spot and 900 yards away, you find the other one, but you don't find the person? Just like Christopher Tompkins. How could he have a shoe dangling from barbed wire, a boot hanging from barbed wire, as well as fragments from his jeans stuck on the barbed wire, but you don't find any blood or skin attached to it? Because obviously he had to have been pulled through the fence in order for that stuff to happen, you know, or pulled over the fence. There should have been some type of blood samples on there, but there's never any evidence of DNA in any of these cases. But anyway, I have been up here way too long. I hope this wasn't too long for you guys, but I wanted to make sure everything was informative. That way you can still watch it. So I hope it wasn't too long for you. If you feel I need to cut it a little bit, go back down to like 60 minutes or whatever, then that's cool. I'll do that. But I wanted to make sure I got all this stuff out there. So I gotta go. I hope you enjoyed this video. You know what to do. Hit me with them thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Hit me up with a comment about what you think about my theory about what's going on with these people. You know, do what you have to do. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to educate you people in the most weirdest way possible. That's what I'm here for. That's my job. Okay, I tell you what everybody else don't want to talk about. That's what I do. That's what I'm here for. So if you like it, you know what to do. And I will see you guys later. All right. Aloha, mahalo, and a hui ho.